All right. Good morning, good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. Welcome to the live stream here, and I'm joined by no other than Dirk Hartig from PrimeXBT Academy, the myth, the legend. Welcome. How
Oh,
are you?
thank you, thank you. I'm great. Happy to be here again after we took a small break together from streaming due to the expo I attended in Singapore. But
Yeah.
I'm
How
happy
was
to be
that?
back. It was awesome, you know. There were a lot of visitors. I got to talk about trading. A lot of also what's always very interested from me, you know, people from other exchanges, from also uh, other topics within the industry, because it's always tends to be a very much closed up space, in my opinion, especially crypto. But yeah, very interesting people, and I can definitely see that the spirit of the community is much higher than it was in October last year when we attended the last expo in Dubai. People are
Oh,
more
yeah, I bet.
positive again.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to hear. Let's see if they're as positive next month, or if, I guess it depends on the Bitcoin. I mean, if you're gonna pump or
Always,
dump.
yeah.
All right, everyone, we have a good episode for you guys here today. Like always, we want to keep it real here. We want to talk about the honest truth about trading. What you guys, what I think most of you need to hear. Maybe not what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. And trading is a lot has a lot to do with that, because most people get into trading and they think that it's a get rich quick scheme, especially in crypto, because you see people posting, making 100 times the money on an altcoin and stuff like that. And you're thinking, maybe I can become rich with my, $1,000 portfolio if I use trade crypto. The truth is that very few people manage to do that. It requires a lot of work, many years of struggle to become a profitable trader. So today we want to talk about what professional traders do differently compared to uh, the regular trader, the not consistent, not profitable trader. Maybe you're a break-even trader. Before we go into that topic, I want to recommend you all to go to the description of this video and click the two links to follow Dirk on Twitter and YouTube. He's running the PrimeXBT Academy, where he shares a lot of good educational content on trading. And this is one of the few guys which are actually honest and transparent in his approach to trading. And also, I want to announce that we have the indicator, the RLZ slingshot indicator. You'll probably be seeing me posting a lot about it on Twitter. It's finally complete, and it's most likely going to get released this month. So, and it's going to be limited in supply, because I don't want everyone to gain access to this one. Like everything in RLZ Trading, everything is limited. The program, the membership to the trading room, the access to the indicator. We want to keep it small, because my goal has never been to get rich of RLZ Trading. My goal has always been to get rich of trading, right? So the community is just to teach you guys how to get rich of trading, not me making money. So I want to keep it to very small audience. So to get access to the RLZ Slingshot indicator, you need to be a subscriber to the newsletter, because we're going to be releasing it in batches of probably 10 to 20 each time, and it's going to be done through the newsletter, to make sure that everyone who actually uses this tool is serious about trading. All right, now let's talk about some of the stuff that perhaps you and I do differently once we got over that threshold of consistent profitability as compared to the regular trader. And maybe you want to start with something here.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we talked about this in the past already, and I think it's very important also to always circle back to that again, and to also for us, to keep that in somehow in our frontal lobe and present all the time. I think, I mean, we can of course talk a lot about psychology and stuff like this, but in terms like talking about psychology is, in my opinion, very often not something that really helps somebody who's struggling out there at that moment, because that's a long-term journey. Perhaps the most important thing that you can do and that you can do right now to get you to a more professional level is to follow your system, no matter what. If you have develop a trading system, it doesn't need to be complicated. It can be very simple. You have found something that you back tested where you know, hey, this is going to work long term for me. I'm most likely going to earn money with this long term. Don't change it. Follow it. And just because you maybe have like 3, 4, or 5 losers in a row, don't change the system. I think this is really something, one of the maybe top 3 that separates a professional trader from a beginner trader or amateur trader. Amateur trader, beginner traders, they tend to too much focus on what happened in the last trade, what happened in the last 2 trades. Oh, if I would have tweaked my system like this or like that, actually it would have been profitable, and so on and so forth. Don't do it. And it's, for me, always surprising once you have developed a system and once you follow it really, no matter what, how monotonous, how even boring trading can become. It's a bit of a joke. You sit here and then you think like, my God, I'm hardly even working and I'm earning money with that.
Yeah,
Not
I love that
always
feeling.
makes you like having a bad conscience, you know.
Yeah, it's insane.
So maybe let's start with this one. And I know, Lips, you have been down that road for a long time, and you have reached the plateau now where things from your system are working in your favor, and you don't need to change anymore. You don't feel the urge to change anything anymore. So this is what you want, guys, out there. If you manage to do that, and if you manage to stick to your system, I think you have walked already 90% of the way to success.
Yeah, and there's different stages in this journey, and I can see people on Twitter. I'm seeing the way they comment and what they write and the DMs I'm getting. I can pretty much sense which part of the journey they are in, and there's certain steps of the journey, and I believe that I'm very close to being at the very end of that journey. And so I know where they are and what steps they need to take. And it's so frustrating because I can't just give everyone, like, I want to just write them a comment and say, like, this is what you have to do, just go and do it. But we all know that it's not that simple. You need experience, you need to fail, you need to make mistakes to get through to the next step, right? It's not just a straight line of success. It's a roller coaster emotionally and in terms of making mistakes. I think that's when it comes to that point. I think you gotta make sure that you are willing to lose and willing to fail. If you're not willing to fail and make mistakes, you're never going to become profitable, because it's really in the mistakes and in your failures. And actually, I wouldn't really say it's a failure if you learn from your mistakes. So if you learn from your mistakes, you can see that as a success. So when you make a mistake in trading, that's something good. We all have to understand that mistakes in trading is something good. And I think that is a mindset that took a long time for me to realize, that whenever I make a mistake, I look at that mistake and I ask myself, what can I learn from this mistake? And it then becomes a way for me to develop as a trader. So if it's one advice, I would say it's just never be fearful of making a mistake. And a failure is really only a failure if you don't learn from your mistakes. And one good way of kind of trying to battle this is to think long term. So when you have one trade, and let's say you have one trade and the trade hits your stop loss, and then right after hitting that stop loss, like so many times, like this often happens, especially to new trader, it hits the stop loss and then it directly runs up to take profit. So a lot of new traders, they go too deep into that one trade and that one mistake, and they can't really let that one go. So what you have to do is you have to think long term and think that this is just one trade in a series of hundreds of trade, and how can I use this mistake to better myself on the next trade? So that would be, in this case, it's pretty obvious, use a wider stop loss. So on the next trade, you're going to use a wider stop loss, and you've learned something from that mistake. And it's easy if you think long term, and think that this is just one trade out of hundreds of trades. It's going to be much easier to let it go, let that trade go, and just continue on that path of being consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's in a sense, somebody once told me like learning to trade and being successful as a trader is a bit like learning a language. Also, when it comes to making mistakes, you're never going to be fluid in a language after like 2 or 3 weeks. It takes time, at least like 6 months, most likely for normal people, a year. If we're talking about myself, probably more than a year to learn a new language and get to a level where you're fluent. And you're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. I saw this question also just now from Hans. And I think this is a very good question or very good comment. Like, most difficult thing is to develop your own system, always issues with something. That is true. And I know this is supposedly what most beginner traders struggle with. But maybe you are surprised now. And I don't want to sound arrogant or something if I say something like this now. In my opinion, this is the easiest part. Why is it the easiest part? Because a lot of this is you can, let's say, compensate with just being very diligent. It's easy to take indicators, it's easy to take market structures, and then just sit down and do the monotonous task of backtesting things over and over and over and over again. And eventually you will find something that gives you an edge over the market. And when you follow down that path, maybe tweak it a little bit, back test it again, over and over again, forward test it, trade it then when it's successful on a demo konto first, maybe for a couple of weeks, for a couple of months, and then risk money. So this is the task really that can be done just by, let's say, hard work, hard labor, you sitting in front of your screen and testing things over and over and over again. Of course, that will still take some time. So it's a bit like, when you start learning a language, learning your vocabulary. You need to have probably like 500 or 1,000 words and an understanding of grammar before you can kind of communicate. It's the same way here. Yeah, you take something, I don't know, maybe an RSI, some other bunch of indicators. You try out different things. You see how it would have worked out in the past, how it works out walking forward. Eventually, you will find something that gives.
Yeah, and I think, I'm not sure I agree with the fact that creating a system is the easy part, but I do definitely understand what you're saying. And for me, creating the system is probably the hardest part. But the fact that you say that it's simple, maybe we could look at trading and say all the practical things you do in trading is actually not that complicated. It's actually not that hard. But the hardest thing is it's coming to the realization that you have to create a system by following a fairly simple approach. And when you've developed that system, you've kind of opened a lot of doors, and it's now going to become much easier for you to be a trader. So right before that moment when you realize that you have to create a system and you have a structure for creating that system, and trading seems almost impossible. And I think one of the reasons that most people find it so hard before they realize that they need to create a system, and they first have to have a process of creating a system. And guys, it's very simple. You backtest. You can do that with a pen and paper. But I have this backtesting template. You probably know about it. It's I think if you sign up to the newsletter, I think you're going to get it to the inbox. So you can use that, or use the pen and paper. And like, you start with an idea. So if you want to create a trend following system, just go with the break and retest or a breakout, and then you just go back and you test all the trades that have the same characteristics, and you look at the win rate and the risk to reward, and if it's good, you can add an indicator. And the hard part is that people don't realize that trading and developing a system is just as demanding as a full-time job. You have to put in the hours. You have to work. You actually have to work. It's hard labor to create a trading system, but the process is actually very simple.
And
So
maybe if I just want to can add to this, and the main thing, in my opinion, then about trading, about creating the system is you're not going to have the immediate reward for your hard
yeah,
labor. So it's not like in a job where you get like paid by the week or by the month or something, or maybe by the day. The reward you are getting might be a couple of months or maybe even a couple of years down the road. And I think that
yeah.
makes it hard also to stay motivated. Yeah.
It is. I mean, I remember I started developing my system. Like I think my system is now. I think every month I say that it's like now it's at the like it's best that it ever were. But I say that every month. So I think it's like it's developing all the time. But I think now I'm definitely at the point where I don't have to do any more back testing other than to kind of get my confidence back in the losing
Mm.
streak. But I started developing this system, I believe, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and so yeah, it has taken me 3 to 4 years to get to the level where I am now. And now, with the funded account, and I have two more challenges that is very close to completing as well. So now all of a sudden, several years later, I went from developing a system, and now I'm just passing challenges and getting funded, and win rate is great, and I'm making a lot of money from trading. But so it takes a while to really get that reward. But I want to talk about the fact that a lot of new traders are every new trader actually is inconsistent in their approach, and this all comes down to not having a system. So first of all the traders that I've ever talked to, which are high level professional traders, and they've been trading for many years, they don't have 20 different setups that they're watching. It's not like they're a regular trader, a new trader, beginner trader. They look at the market and they say, this is a hidden bullish divergence on Bitcoin. I'm going to buy that. And then the next day they have, oh, this is a range and price is not getting rejected at range high. I'm going to buy that. And then the next day they find a setup where it's like, oh, the third retest of a trend line with the stochastic RSI below 30. I'm going to buy that. That's a great setup. So now they've traded three different systems in 3 days. And then the next week, they're going to be like, oh, let's look at the weekly to see if we can have in a high time frame setups based on the stochastic RSI or whatever. And they have an inconsistent approach, but they have good ideas. So hidden bullish divergence on the RSI or whatever, and using the stochastics in that way, and using trend lines and trading ranges like from range EQ to range high. That's great ideas, and that in of itself can be a trading system and a trading setup. So what I would recommend that people do is take all the knowledge that you have and start testing this with a back testing template individually. So for example, if you want to trade a range, test that idea. Is that a good trading idea based on a range? And then if you have more knowledge about what could add confluence at the range high, for example, for a short or a breakout of that range high, if you have other indicators and tools that could add in confluence, test that and see if it works. And now what you've done is you've taken all your experience, because a lot of people out there, they've been on YouTube and different trading groups and on Twitter for years, right? They have a lot of experience, but this one thing that they're missing is a consistent approach. Like, I'm trading one system, one setup. I've been doing that for years. It's super boring, but I just repeat the same process over and over and over again. It's not fun, right? But it's very fun when you wake up one day and you check your P&L and you're like, oh, all right, that's cool. I worked 30 minutes yesterday and I made almost a monthly salary on one trade. And I'm not even like, yesterday, I was out on a bike ride for 2 hours and I had a couple of alerts on my phone. I checked the alerts and I said, oh, this is a good trade. I better be home in half an hour so I can take that trade. I took my bike home, entered orders for a trade, and that's it. That's it. Like it's amazing how you're able to live a life as a trader with a simplistic approach with just one system and one setup. So I would recommend that everyone take all your knowledge that you have of technical analysis and try to put it all into one system, and then you consistently follow that system no matter what you do.
And interestingly enough, I bet now people are approaching you and telling you something like, "Oh, it comes so natural for you with success. I wish I could do it as easy as you do," because they don't see the amount of work prior to this success that what was put in this. Like you just said, the years of development, fine tuning, and so on. I very much like what you just said about take like one puzzle piece. Let's go with the divergence, bullish or bearish divergence. Maybe start with bullish divergence, and then take this one and by itself backtest this. Look for setups where, hey, when there is a bullish divergence, what is a good risk reward ratio to put in there that gets hit very often. Maybe you find something like, oh wow, this works 52% of all the time on an hourly chart or whatever. When you take the next one, a stochastic or whatever, or a rune or a momentum-based indicator, for example, you add and you look like, okay, if I have a divergence and this indicator is showing a certain pattern or a certain number, like below 30 for the stochastic or whatever, if I add this to the mix, is this going to improve my win rate? Oh, it does. Now my win rate is at 55%. Maybe, but that also means that I'm trading less, which is always a good thing, by the way. And so this is a structured approach, and I very much agree with your statement that a lot of people that are watching YouTube videos on trading, that are on Twitter and social media and so on and so forth, they're actually quite experienced. They know their stuff when it comes to techno analysis. I'm surprised, some of them, I think, have a much, much deeper knowledge about technical analysis than I have. The difference is that
definitely. I mean, same here.
That you and me monotonously repeat the thing we know that is successful, the edge we found of the market. We don't go and, change our strategy all the time.
I think we can talk about like good technical analysis, like people that have gone through like the CMT program or stuff like that, who knows like all the tools. Like I gotta be honest with you guys, like in terms of all the technical tools that are available to us traders, I'm a pretty bad technical analysis. However, I would say that I'm an expert at my system and I'm an expert at the way I'm trading. And I've really nailed down a very specific way of trading that I think I'm pretty good at. But when it comes to the overall idea of technical analysis, using all the different tools and stuff out there and knowing how they work, like I'm pretty bad at that. But then I had a couple of people coming into the RLZ trading room, and they're like, "Have you tried adding this indicator?" And I'm like, dude, I don't even know what that indicator does. So I haven't heard about that one. I don't know what that is." And they're like confused. They think that, well, you're a professional trader. Shouldn't you know about these things? And I'm like, no, I know about my system. I know about my approach. I don't have to know about the ADX or the whatever all this stuff is, like the everything. Like I don't have to know about that to trade my system. And if I don't have to know about a specific tool to trade my system, I don't care about that. A lot of people, they think that the more analysis they do, the more profitable they will be. While it's quite the contrary. The more analysis you do, you're just going to be more confused, and you're going to have more reasons not to take the trade, and you're going to be suffering from analysis paralysis, most likely. So I would say, lots of people out there are definitely much better than me at technical analysis, but they're not profitable. And that's the difference. You can be a really, really good technical analyst, but a terrible trader. And the difference is a consistency. And we kind of have to go into the psychology part of trading when we talk about consistency as well, because I don't think it's only about, I mean, it's of course you have to have a consistent approach in the way you're trading your system, but what it comes down to, at least in my case, is a mindset of consistency and probability. So I know that I see a setup, and that setup is confirmed. Not even once do I think about if this is a winner or a loser, because I know that in my head it's both. It's both a
Mm.
winner and a loser at the same time. And I don't really care what the outcome of that trade is, because I know that the outcome of my last 10 trades have been favorable. So I think that is also where the people have to start changing their mindset and their their mental approach to trading. So I think we when everything changed for me in terms of profitability, and when I really then I got over that threshold into the realm of consistent profitability, if you will, was when I just decided to take a step back and just take it easy. Be very, very calm in my approach, and just, I don't care about that trade. I don't care about this trade. I mean, just be very simple, because I realized that the more time I spent looking at a setup, the more analysis I did, the more reasons I got not to take the trade or to take the trade. So I got very good at just executing.
Mm.
As soon as I saw something, I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna get in here. I don't care. Like, get in, get the job done. And if it's a loser, that's okay. If it's a winner, that's okay. I don't really care. All I know is that win rate is 60%. That's all I have to care about, really.
Yeah, analysis paralysis. I mean, that is also, from, in my opinion, a bit of an expression when you keep on analyzing your trade setups and analyzing. Maybe you are searching for a counter argument for that trade because you're afraid of taking the trade. So greed, somebody mentioned greed here earlier. The hardest thing is being greed. Somebody mentioned that. So being greedy, being afraid is exactly on the same spectrum, in my opinion. They are both extremes, one on the left, one on the right side, that are going to hinder you from trading. For me, it's also in my daily life a rinse and repeat process. I have my I have my things that I do every morning, at least Mondays to Fridays, that I repeat every morning because, and it sounds very stupid, maybe simple and stupid. Like, I get up, I make breakfast, I have breakfast with my family, I go and take a shower, I take my daughter, I bring my daughter to kindergarten, then I take a walk for 25 minutes. I reach my office, I turn on my PC, and then I start looking at a chart. And I do this every day because for me that is part of my process to mentally get prepared. And I think this is very much also what we see with professional athletes out there. I'm of course not. I'm not an athlete, quite the contrary. But what you see, like with tennis players, with hockey players, with golfers, they are always doing the same thing, the same setup routine, because they want a consistent result. Yeah, if we look at a golfer, a Tiger Woods, he knows, like, if I do the setup, I will hit my 9-iron like this, and it's going to fly 150 meters. Wrong. This is also, this is kind of boring, But to somebody watching from the outside, that person might say, "My God, they are so relaxed, because just they are naturals. They have talent. I don't have talent, I actually, in the equation of success, I think talent really plays a minimal role. Maybe 5%, maybe
Yeah.
10%. The rest of the 90% are really, really hard work, hours and hours of grinding."
Yeah, and I think what you've I mean, a lot of people will um will look at professional traders who made it, and they would say that they got lucky, right? Oh, you got lucky. And but I would like to, I kind of see it as we make our own luck.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, we're it's the same with people that go to in conferences and places with people that they admire and people that they want to work with. If you are in the same room as the people that you want to work with, chances are that you'll get a chance to work with them. But if you never meet them, if you're never there, you're never going to get that chance, right? So if I go to, like, for example, a conference, and I get a really good deal with somebody, someone might say you got lucky. Well, I kind of created my own luck because I were at the right place at the right time. And the same thing kind of goes with this, that you've talked about, how we set up a framework and we set up habits and routines in our life to kind of set up that, consistent approach. And yeah, I would like to say that we create our own luck in a sense. So there's once you succeed, it's because of a lot of hard work, and people would see it as luck, but it's, for me, it's at least, years and years and years of hard work and struggle, really.
And that's the good thing also, no? You and I know that, and it also brings us into the situation. I bet anybody who's watching this right now, everybody's watching, I can almost guarantee you, if you, like, for example, accept Jonatan as your coach, and you're willing to put in the hard works and the hours of rinse repeating, of making mistakes, learning from those mistakes, there's a very, very high chance that you are going to be successful. Also, it sounds stupid, but I mean, you have a guy here, two guys that know how it's done, and why not listen to that? Why not, after this live stream, sit down, if you have the time for that, of course, and you don't have other things, so you need to be not distracted, and start the hard work today. Start backtesting. Start finding this edge over the market. Rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck somewhere, well, Jonatan, you have a gentleman here who is probably more than happy to share his knowledge with you, because he has been through exactly the same emotions and notions that you probably have while developing this system.
Yeah, it's yeah, definitely, and I think that is why that's the positive thing of having a mentor. I mean, when I began trading, I was in a trading community, and I had mentors to kind of ask questions and to guide me through the process, which definitely helped. I mean, yeah, definitely helped. And if I had somebody who really would have, given me a system and walked me through that system, I would have been profitable much earlier. What I also wanted to mention is and this is the stuff that we all this is the stuff that we all do, right? In the beginning, we it's frustrating for me, but when I first started, I went on Twitter and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see, like, which of the accounts will make me the most money, basically. So can I find some good, some big influencers that will make me a ton of money by sharing calls? And it worked sometimes, but most of the time it didn't work. And I didn't become rich of that. I mean, I'm here trading my own system. I'm not following others. And like, if there's a secret to trading, it's definitely this. You would never see a professional trader following another professional trader's call. Never. It has never happened. All right. And when it does happen, they usually fail. So the lesson here, what I'm trying to say is, do not follow other traders. Do not subscribe to a call service or a signal service with the idea of just copying that trade blindly. Now, a copy trading platform is different. If you subscribe to a copy trader platform, you're basically just copying someone's trade, and that's different, right? Because you never miss a trade. The problem with signing up for a signal service or call service and taking some of the trades, you have to take all the trades to have the same results. You can't just take some of the trades, because chances are that you're going to take more losers than winners. Like, so don't follow anyone. Like, you're never going to learn anything from just blindly following anyone. If you're in a community that provides signals or setups, you're supposed to look at those signals and setups, and you're supposed to understand what made this setup a setup. And then what you want to do is you want to go into TradingView and you want to replicate that setup and understand why that is a setup, and then treat it like it's your own setup and manage that trade like it's your own setup. So I think that is a huge thing that a lot of people do. They think that, I mean, if it were that easy, I mean, honestly, if it were that easy, I wouldn't be trading. I would just follow somebody. All right, I wouldn't be doing
Yeah.
this on my own. Like I would just be sitting back and retire, right? But it's not possible.
For me, it's always amazing. I just made this. We talked about this before we started the webinar. Actually, that I have a Telegram channel where I do a beta test at the moment in providing some of my trading signals, and they are not like ready-made trading signals with stop loss and take profit and so on and so forth. So it's just like to point out, hey, here's a chart, there's something happening. Maybe you should further analyze this chart instead of other charts you might be looking at the moment. And just like the last 2 weeks, we had like, I think 10 trades. 9 of those trades were really very, very clear things where it was, in my opinion, at least almost impossible, not at least to get to break even with those trades. And to my surprise, still people were able to lose money, even with 9 out of 10 trades being successful. And then I sat down again and asked myself a question, okay, why is that? And I had to remember back then when I was starting, I had a colleague at a bank who was insanely successful in just trading crude oil, WTI oil. And he was really just trading that all day, in and out. And he was insanely successful with that. And actually, he taught me his strategy, and I tried to replicate it, and I failed. I lost money. Why is that? Because what works for him might not work for me, because we have a different approach when it comes to risk management. We have a different approach of digesting visual cues, maybe also from trading systems. So him looking at a chart, looking at a signal, will definitely not see the same that I'm seeing. We are living in our own subjective world to some extent. And I think this plays a major, major role also why it's almost impossible one-to-one to copy other signals of other professional traders, and why, just like you said just now, Jonatan, we don't see other professional traders that are copying other professional traders. It's just something that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I remember reading the Market Wizards, and I don't know which book, but one of the Market Wizards series, and they have a beautiful, they have a couple of examples actually of some of the traders copying others, and they always fail miserably, right? They always, like, they talk about how they're, what one story I remember where one of the bigger traders who's like managing millions and millions of dollars, maybe billions even, like a really big trader, right? And he had a colleague, like his mentor that he looked up to was, I believe, shorting oil. And he's like, I'm long oil, right? So he's like, should I really be fading the person that taught me to trade, my mentor? Should I really be fading this person? And he's like, that's a bad idea, right? So he flipped short and went on vacation. And this was before the trading, internet trading, digital trading, right? So he went on a vacation and didn't have access to phone or anything like that. And of course, the position went up, right? So he would have made a lot of money on that first initial long, right? And then he followed his mentor, and he called him up, and he's like, I'm losing so much money on this trade, but I guess you were doing the same. And he's like, no, I'm out. I'm out of the trade. I'm out way, like several days ago. I got out of this trade. And he's like, well, how? Because I'm trading this intraday, and the other guy was a swing trader.
Yeah.
So he opened a swing trade based on a person that had an intraday short, and he closed that trade the same day. And this swing trader had a short open for several days and lost a lot of money. So it's a good example of, like, you can't copy other traders because you don't know why they're trading that setup. Like, I can post a setup and I might instinctively have a feeling or a thought or an idea about why this trade is good, and I'm going to take it based on an intuitive feeling that I've had because of my years of experience. And then you're going to follow that. And I exit this trade because I see something that to me doesn't look good, and I exit it immediately. And I do so while you're sleeping because you're in Australia, right? So it's like, it's just, you don't follow other traders. I mean, I do I do have a challenge channel in my community where I share all the trades I take, but it's more about me being, and I think I trade better when I share everything I do. So I have a channel where I share all the trades I take, but it's mostly because I like I like sharing all my trades, and if somebody wants to follow, go ahead, follow. But it would be better for you to learn from it, and I like the idea of being transparent and open with
Yeah.
everything I do. It adds definitely
I
volatility.
think transparency really is the key word here. I very much agree with that. This is also the reason why I do that, because I mean, by the end of the day, everybody can talk a lot, but it's
Yeah.
like showing like, hey, I really put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, I had this DM this morning. Someone asked me like he wanted to get into the trading room, and it's limited. I'm only gonna accept 200 people, and I might even make it smaller. So I want to make sure that everyone that is in the community has a goal of actually becoming consistently profitable trader. And he asked me like, how many out of 10 trades, how many trades are winners? I'm like, I see the question. I'm like, does it matter? Like, does it really matter? Because like, what matters is what's your personal win rate. And then I asked him like, is there a trade every day? And I told that person like, this is not the right community for you. Basically, I said like, if you're looking for signal service or a place where you can follow calls blindly, this is not the right. This is not the right community for you. But if you're looking for a community where you can learn and grow together, that's a great community. Because like I've been members of other communities in the past, and it's been so focused on just delivering calls, like deliver calls, deliver setups. Like every day, there needs to be a setup, there needs to be a call, because obviously they're selling a service where they make money by posting calls, and it's like it's just not right. It's I feel like it's just bad for the whole industry on a whole. It gives trading, and especially trading communities, a bad rep. So I would really wish that people would boycott trading communities that focus on the calls and the signals, because that would be a net positive for the whole industry, I believe. I am gonna get a lot of shit for that, but I don't
Yeah,
care.
it's never going to happen, sadly. I mean, I totally agree with you, and but yeah, that is like living in the ideal world. Sadly,
Yeah.
of course, people will always look for shortcuts to earn money. I think that's natural, and we all have been through that part. We
Yeah, and
can
it's
just hope
sad. I mean,
that you
I
learn
see.
from it.
Yeah, and it's so sad because I see people on Twitter that are like, oh, I mean, some days I'm just thinking, I probably shouldn't be posting any trades or any setups on Twitter, because sometimes I see like, I post an idea, I could post like, oh, this is a good, if Bitcoin comes down here to this
Mm.
level and gives us this pattern, I might maybe long. And then there's this guy who says like, oh, I went long, and now I lost 50% of my portfolio. Then I'm
Oh
like,
God,
what?
yeah.
That's
Uh,
I have
that's not what
nothing
I
to do
said.
with that. That's
Yeah.
your problem. I had a
Mm.
very detailed explanation of what I'm looking for, and he gets mad because like he made a stupid mistake of it. That's sad, because I
Mm.
do feel like we have a responsibility as influencers and traders on social media, but we also have like everyone watching this also have to understand that it's uh, if you are trading your own money, you have a responsibility to do your own research and
Yeah.
make sure that you don't enter trades that are not confirmed based on your trading system. And if you don't have a trading system, I would recommend that you immediately withdraw all your money from all your trading exchanges and brokerage services. Because if you don't have a trading system, you should not have any money in a trading exchange. That's the truth.
I have another example of. I just had to think of that when you shared yours. I had somebody. I think it was like last year, maybe October, no, maybe November must have been. I think after FTX went down, and I did like a webinar, I did a special on this, and on this stream, I said something like, "Well, of course, we cannot determine how low Bitcoin will be. It might go maybe as low as 12,000. And then a couple of weeks later, and up to this day, I have this person commenting sometimes on my videos, hey, but you said Bitcoin is going down to 12,000. Now I missed buying it there. It's like, I actually had to go back to this video and see, like, okay, what did I really say? I cannot imagine that I said it's going down to 12,000. No, I said, like, potentially it could be somewhere in that area or something, but hey, please do your own due diligence. Do not try to catch the bottom. And I think this is exactly like your example. It's about trying to offset responsibility to somebody else, because it's nice if you can, of course, say, well, it's not my fault, it's the fault of Dirk, it's the fault of Jonatan. They made the call there, I just put my money there. No, you have to do your own due diligence. You are responsible for your own money, nobody else.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to, sometime in the future to, to open up a fund or something like that, and because a lot of people just want to invest and see their money grow, and they don't want to be trading, which is fine, but then don't follow other, like, don't trade, right? If you just want to see your capital grow without trading, which you're basically doing, if you just want to follow someone else, it's better to invest in an index fund or something like that, or find a fund that is managed by traders, and put your money in there, and be happy with 20% a year or something like that, right? You're never going to be able to make 10 times your money in a year, or even people they're looking at 100 times altcoin trades. But the thing is that the win rate, like in crypto, if you're going to be an altcoin investor, and you're going to invest in the altcoin market hoping for a 100x move, you still have to risk a very small percentage on that trade. So if you're buying, let's say, for example, all right, so you're buying the new Bitcoin. All right, so there's a new coin. It's like, oh, this is the new Bitcoin.
The new Bitcoin.
It's gonna make 1 million times your money. That's great, right? So, well, let's say it's you're projecting that it's gonna make 10 times your investment, which is awesome, because if you have $10,000, you invest that, and all of a sudden you have $100,000. And for someone living in a part of the world where they don't have a lot of money, 100,000 USD is like, that's a lot of money. You can probably retire of in some parts of the country. I mean, of the world, maybe not. I don't know, but still a lot of money. So, but the win rate on this is probably like 0.01, maybe. That's going to go 100 times. So, if you're going to use a strict risk management strategy for that as well, you would perhaps risk 1% of your portfolio on a trade like that. So if it goes 100 times, you're still going to double your portfolio on a trade like that, because you're going to make 100 times your initial risk, which is 1%, which then is 100% of your capital. And you're going to double your capital, which is huge, right? And if you get stopped out on that one, you're going to lose, at 1%. What most people do is they invest like, 10, 20, maybe even 50% on an altcoin like that. And because of the win rate is so extremely small, they're gonna lose their whole account in very short amount of time. So I remember when I began trading crypto, and when I began trading altcoins, I did a lot of research, and I invested in altcoins early and that sort of stuff. But I only risked 1% of my portfolio into these altcoins. So I had like 20 different altcoins with 1% risk on each, and my goal was to sell 50 on a double. So if a coin made 100% profit, I would sell double, and that would now be a free position, and I would just hope for that one to do some crazy run. And this was in 2017, so I actually got a couple of big winners, but my risk management was shit. I took the profits and I invested in some retarded masternode project that failed miserably, and I lost 97% of everything. So I I was like a millionaire at the 2017 top, and then it went straight down, and I was back at living, month to month. Like, yeah, that was some crazy run. But yeah, I think yeah, risk management, guys. Like you have to, yeah, risk small on even on trades like that.
I think this whole altcoin game, is a bit like playing the lottery. Yeah, you hear from somebody, whoa, I just won 10K with this altcoin, super nice. Or I just won 10K in the lottery. But yeah, you spent like 15K in the past 10 years to buy lottery tickets. So you're still
Yeah,
down
yeah,
5K. And so, in a sense, of course, people won't tell you that they don't share the bad things. Yeah? They just will share, I won the lottery. I'm up 10K. I won big with this one altcoin gem I found. I made 100 times, 200 times. Yeah, but I'm not telling you that the other 50 altcoins I invested a fortune in are down by 99% or don't exist anymore at all. Hard game to play, but of course, yeah, I understand the notion there to throw a little bit of money sometimes at altcoins. I do that too, maybe here 500, there 500 or something. But like you just said, it shouldn't exceed something like 1%. Actually, when it comes to altcoin, I would stay well below the 1% because it's such a high probability that things are turning against you.
Yeah, and honestly, like I'm just I got sick of all that whole thing. Like every altcoin out there I was watching is just most likely a scam. And I just got tired of the whole altcoin industry. I mean, I'm in crypto because I like the idea of Bitcoin, and I think Ethereum is doing really cool things. But the rest of the market, I'm just not very impressed of what's happening, and I'm hoping that the industry will mature more, which it has done in the past years. But I really got tired of that, and it was a lot of work to research altcoin products and get to know if they're any good or not. And it's like that was a lot of work. What I do now is just so much simpler, and I'm making so much more money. It's crazy. Like it's just, yeah, it's so much easier just developing a trading system and then just following that system. You don't have to spend hours and hours and hours researching different altcoin products. Like just get a system and just trade that one. I think that's the best approach.
I mean, you spend hours and hours and hours developing the system, and the
That's
reward
true.
is coming
That's
in
true.
now from it.
Yeah, that's true. All right, man. Almost an hour. We said we wanted to do some market updates as well, but I think that's we probably should leave the webinar as it is with just this discussion. Again, we have an episode that is more of a podcast. So I've been thinking about actually creating a podcast, but I do enjoy talking.
Well, that's the nice thing, we get to talk about where our passion is, and I think everybody likes to do that. So,
do we have anything to add here?
yeah, potentially. I mean, we could find another 10, 20 topics when it comes to mistakes you can make along the way, but I don't think we want to keep the guys here in front watching our faces for the next 10 hours. So maybe we should do that another day.
I got one advice before we go. Is definitely use a wide stop loss. Like if you add a stop loss, then widen the stop loss more, and then when you think you widen it enough, you widen it even more. You would be surprised how many more winners you're going to have if you stop being so greedy and just stop looking at the risk to reward and the profit of the trade. Is focus on having a wide stop loss, and you're going to be much more profitable and trade. So this guy here, he had yesterday in the community we had a trade where he definitely made a mistake. 3% stop loss. So let me cover this question as quickly. And I don't want to be rude or anything, but this question makes no sense because It depends. It depends on what you mean. Do you mean that if stop loss gets hit, you're going to lose 3% of your portfolio? Then yeah, it makes sense. But I would say 1% or even lower. So on every trade, you risk 1% of your portfolio. If you're asking me if your stop loss should be 3% below entry, then you have to research risk management, because it doesn't work like that. The stop loss is not supposed to be a specific percentage below your entry. The stop loss is supposed to be at a level where it technically would invalidate the idea of your trade. So you have to focus on, you probably need to do some research on risk management. And if you're going to risk 3% of your portfolio per trade, I think in the beginning that's too much. You have to first develop a system and look at your win rate and risk to reward, and then determine if you can raise it from 1%. Before we go, I have a giveaway on Twitter. So if you go to my Twitter profile, you'll find it in the description, the pinned tweet. All you have to do is follow the instruction in the tweet, sign up to the newsletter, and this Friday I will draw a winner that will get access, 1 month access to the indicator, so you can play around with the RLZ Slingshot indicator. It's a pretty cool tool. It works on all time frames actually, and it's really nice. The power of that indicator is definitely the alert system. You can set up alerts and basically let it scan the market for you. So that's the way I'm using it. All right, I think we're done.
We're done. Good.
Thank you, Dirk. And
thank you for having me again. It was, as always, a great pleasure to talk with you about trading and trading psychology. And well, I hope you guys out there can maybe take some of the stuff that was said here today home and think about it and incorporate it in your daily trading activities.
And don't forget to follow Dirk on his channels, which are PrimeXBT Academy on YouTube and Twitter. There's links in the description to that as well, so make sure you follow. And we will see you guys in this short-term future. Take care, everyone, and have a fantastic Wednesday.
Bye-bye, everybody.